Please, save him. He's bleeding badly. He was thrown from the second floor by a group of assassins. Maya Jefferson cried, stumbling through the wide glass doors of Mercy General Hospital. Her uniform was soaked with blood, her eyes red from panic. Nurses rushed toward her as the gurney screeched across the polished floor, and two doctors immediately took over. On the stretcher lay Vivian Cole, a man once celebrated on magazine covers as one of America's youngest billionaires. His face was pale, his pulse barely registering. A nurse called out, "We're losing him," and the trauma team moved fast, oxygen mask secured, for lines connected, defibrillator pads pressed against his chest. Maya stood frozen near the wall, whispering a prayer under her breath. 20 minutes earlier, she had seen Ethan's body hit the marble floor of his Beverly Hills mansion after gunfire erupted upstairs. The house security system had been shut off. His guards were nowhere in sight. As the doctors rushed him into surgery, Maya sank to her knees. Her mind replayed the voice she had overheard days ago, a woman's cold threat on the phone. "If the court won't give me half, I'll take it my way." That woman was Vivian Cole, Ethan's ex-wife. The clock in the emergency wing ticked past midnight. Maya sat on a metal bench outside the operating room, her hands clasped tightly together. Every few minutes, a nurse passed by with hurried steps, offering no answers. Through the small glass window, she could see the blur of green surgical gowns and the rhythm of machines fighting to keep Vivian Cole alive. Outside the hospital, black SUVs idled on the quiet street. Inside one of them sat Vivian Cole, Ethan's ex-wife, wearing dark sunglasses despite the night. Her diamond bracelet glittered faintly under the streetlight as she scrolled through her phone. A message flashed on the screen. "He's critical. Might not make it till morning." Vivian smirked, exhaling a slow breath of satisfaction. "Good," she whispered. "No one denies me what's mine." Back inside, Maya wiped her tears, unaware that the same woman who once smiled in family portraits with Ethan had ordered his death. Hours passed before a surgeon finally stepped out, his gloves stained. "He's alive," he said quietly, "but in a coma. The next 72 hours are critical." Maya broke down in relief, whispering, "Thank you, God." But outside those hospital walls, danger was still circling, and Vivian wasn't done yet. Morning sunlight crept through the hospital blinds as detectives filled the hallway outside Vivian Cole's room. The lead investigator, Detective Harris, flipped open his notepad. "You said you were the first to find him?" he asked. Maya nodded, still shaken. "Yes, sir. I heard the gunshots upstairs. When I ran up, they were gone. He was on the ground bleeding. I drove him here myself." Before Harris could continue, two other officers entered, holding a small evidence bag. Inside was a pistol wrapped in cloth. The detective's brow furrowed. "This was found in her car," one of them said. Maya's eyes widened. "That's not mine. I don't even own a gun." Unbeknownst to her, Vivian Cole had already paid off one of the responding officers from the night before to plant the weapon. She needed someone else to take the fall in case Ethan survived. Hours later, Vivian arrived at the hospital dressed in black, pretending to grieve. "I just want to see him," she whispered to the nurse. Cameras flashed as reporters swarmed the lobby. She turned toward them, tears in her eyes. "My husband was attacked in our home," she said softly, "and the police believe his own nanny may be involved." By noon, the story was everywhere, on TV, across social media, and splashed over news headlines. Billionaire tech founder shot in home invasion, Nanny under investigation. Maya's picture was shown beside Ethan's, her frightened face taken from hospital security footage. She sat in a corner of the waiting area, hands trembling as she watched the false narrative unfold on a nearby screen. Vivian Cole stood in the hospital's private lounge surrounded by her lawyer, a detective on her payroll, and a public relations manager. Her tears were gone now, replaced by a calm, rehearsed smile. "We control the story," she said firmly. "If she talks, she'll look desperate. Keep pushing that narrative." Her lawyer nodded. "Once the court hears this, public sympathy stays with you." Meanwhile, in the ICU, Ethan lay motionless, his body covered in tubes and bandages. The monitors beeped faintly, his heart barely steady. The attending nurse, Lisa, whispered to a colleague, "The wife's paying everyone to make this look clean. But that nanny, she doesn't look guilty to me." Outside, Maya wept silently. She didn't care about the headlines or the cameras. All she wanted was for Ethan to open his eyes, because only he knew the truth that could save her. Days turned into nights, and the hospital room became a war zone of silence. Machines hummed softly as Vivian Cole remained in a deep coma, caught between life and death. Maya never left his side. She slept on a plastic chair, her head resting against the bed rail, praying that he would wake up and clear her name. Vivian Cole visited often, her crocodile tears perfectly timed for the cameras outside. "I just want justice," she told reporters, her voice trembling. "My husband trusted that woman, and look what happened." Each appearance painted Maya as the villain while the real one walked free. Behind the scenes, Vivian was already setting her next move. She arranged for a new nurse, Kara, to be assigned to Ethan's care, a woman secretly on her payroll. Her job was simple: wait for the right moment and make sure Ethan never woke up again. But Vivian underestimated Maya's instincts. Something about the new nurse's behavior didn't sit right. She watched Kara closely, noticing the way her eyes darted toward Ethan's foreline. Maya's gut told her danger was near. That night, she whispered to Ethan's still body, "Please wake up, sir. They're coming again. And this time, they won't miss." The hospital corridor was unusually quiet that night. Most of the staff had gone home, and the rhythmic beeping of Ethan's heart monitor filled the air. Under the dim light, Nurse Kara slipped into the room with a small syringe tucked in her palm. She glanced toward the hallway. No one in sight. Maya had just stepped out to get coffee for the first time in hours. Her body was exhausted, but her mind restless. Something deep inside warned her not to leave. Halfway down the corridor, she froze. Through the reflection on the glass wall, she saw Kara standing beside Ethan's foreline, her movements too careful to be routine. Maya dropped the cup, coffee spilling across the floor as she ran back inside. "What are you doing?" she shouted. Kara turned, startled, but before she could hide the syringe, Maya grabbed her wrist. It fell to the ground, the label reading potassium chloride. The sudden noise brought two security guards rushing in. Kara stammered, "She's attacking me," but Maya's trembling hand pointed to the syringe. "Check the bag." She was about to kill him. The room erupted in chaos. And while guards argued, one thing was clear: someone powerful wanted Ethan Cole dead, no matter the cost. The commotion drew hospital administrators, detectives, and Vivian herself. She arrived minutes later, wrapped in a black coat, her expression perfectly crafted for sympathy. "What happened here?" she asked in a trembling voice. Kara, now sitting on the floor pretending to cry, pointed at Maya. "She tried to harm him. I stopped her just in time." The accusation hit the room like a knife. Vivian gasped dramatically, clutching her chest. "Dear Lord." Maya's face drained of color. "That's a lie. She's the one who—" Before she could finish, Detective Harris entered with two uniformed officers. "We received multiple reports," he said sternly. "Ma'am, you need to come with us." "Please, I didn't do anything," Maya begged, tears rolling down her cheeks as they handcuffed her in front of the cameras now crowding the hall. Vivian turned away, pretending to wipe her eyes. "I trusted her," she whispered to a reporter. "She betrayed us all." As Maya was led away, Ethan's monitor beeped weakly in the background, a faint rhythm of life still fighting to stay. Vivian watched her rival disappear through the elevator doors, then whispered coldly to herself, "Finally. No witnesses, no trouble." But fate wasn't done with her yet. 2 weeks passed. The world had already moved on from the story, and Maya sat in a cold holding cell, her hope fading with each passing day. Reporters called her the killer nanny, and Vivian's lawyers made sure every headline stayed that way. Meanwhile, in the quiet ICU room of Mercy General, Ethan Cole stirred for the first time. The nurse on duty gasped as his fingers twitched, then his eyelids flickered open. Confusion clouded his gaze as he whispered hoarsely, "Where am I?" The nurse pressed the emergency button, and within moments, doctors surrounded his bed. Hours later, Vivian walked into the room pretending to cry tears of joy. "Ethan, thank God you're awake," she said softly, holding his hand. But he didn't respond. His eyes studied her face, unsure, as fragments of memory swirled in his mind. Gunshots, pain, and Maya screaming his name. "What happened to Maya?" he asked weakly. Vivian froze, then quickly replied, "She's the reason you're here. She tried to kill you." He blinked slowly, confused. Something about her tone didn't feel right. There was warmth missing. By the time Vivian left the room, Ethan stared at the ceiling, and a faint flash returned to his eyes. Deep down, he knew she was lying. 3 days after waking, Ethan Cole sat upright in his hospital bed, his body weak, but his mind growing sharper. Bits of memory returned: Vivian's shouting, masked men, the balcony, the fall, and then Maya's terrified face bending over him. Each moment came back like a puzzle fitting itself together. When Detective Harris came to take his statement, Ethan's voice was calm. "Where's Maya Jefferson?" he asked. The detective hesitated. "She's in county jail, sir. Evidence points to her." Ethan frowned. "What evidence?" Harris avoided his eyes. "A gun, fingerprints, testimony from a nurse." That evening, when the nurses left, Ethan struggled out of bed and motioned to his assistant, Robert, who had come to visit. Go to the mansion, he whispered. There's a reason Vivian thought she could get away with this. In my study, behind the bookshelf, there's a security hub. Hidden cameras. Get the drive. Robert nodded and left immediately. Hours later, he returned with a small hard drive in hand. Ethan's hands trembled as he plugged it into his laptop. The footage was crystal clear. Vivian standing with two masked men, pointing at him on the balcony, and saying coldly, "Make it look like an accident." It was the proof that could save them both. The courtroom was silent as the footage played on the large monitor. Vivian Cole's face, once the image of elegance and control, was frozen in horror as her own voice filled the room. "Make it look like an accident." Gasps echoed through the gallery. Reporters scrambled to record every word. Maya sat at the defendant's table, tears streaming down her cheeks. For weeks, she had prayed this day would come. Across the room, Ethan Cole, now fully recovered, sat beside his attorney, his gaze fixed on the woman who once vowed to love him. Vivian tried to speak, but the judge raised a hand. "Mrs. Cole, this video leaves no room for doubt. You are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and obstruction of justice." Officer stepped forward and cuffed her hands. She looked at Ethan one last time, whispering, "You ruined me." He replied quietly, "No, Vivian, you ruined yourself." Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed as Maya was finally released. Ethan approached her slowly, his eyes full of gratitude. "You saved my life," he said softly. "When no one else believed me, you did." Maya smiled, tears falling freely. "I just did what was right." And for the first time in months, Ethan Cole finally felt peace return.